Well, now that makes more sense. We're pretty deep in the blockchain industry, and one thing that the Bitcoin helps with is it shows you a parallel universe of a monetary system that isn't tampered with. And so so that community is quite educated actually in the flaws of the fiat system and the printing of money. And there's a very famous guy, I'm sure you know him, his name is Michael Saylor, CEO of a company called MicroStrategy. And during the massive printing of money in 2020, he looked around and looked at his public company balance sheet and realized that it wasn't ethical for him to hold cash on that balance sheet anymore, and that he had to convert it into Bitcoin. And so when you talk about this stuff, it makes a lot of sense to us and a lot of our community, because we can see those flaws. Although your average American might not see it right away, although I think they're getting better educated. Obviously, when inflation goes up, and it's talked about a little bit more, but I love the fact that you put everything together, because yes, the democratic process was interfered with. I mean, I ran to be mayor of London in 21 here in London, and I literally had the police stop me, and they arrested me for campaigning when we were supposed to be locked down. And I thought campaigning was a communication issue. I was literally walking down the street talking to my phone, social distance from everybody, and they actually gave my whole crew fines and were going to arrest us. So I know.
But Brian, let's hit that one, because your free speech campaign, which is absolutely critical, is something that's worth noting. We had a judge in Massachusetts, and many people forget this, but the very first judge in the Massachusetts case against Governor Baker made the comment that social media stood in the place of the public sphere, where essentially, because we had things like Zoom, we had things like Facebook, we had things like, instant messengers and Instagrams and TikToks and all these things. The argument that the judge made was that we were not limited in speech because we had social media. And you and I both know that that was not just a oversight by the judge. That was a willful and negligent statement, because what he did not say was that none of those platforms ensured the ability for any speech to happen before it was state sanctioned. So your point, and I'm glad that you brought up the walking around in London socially distanced. You were trying to beforehand the rules of the road that were laid down, which were nonsense, as we said. But the point is, we were deprived of the capacity to speak. It's not an open and free point. So I'm glad that you raised it, because I think we need to remember that was taken and it has never been restored.
Yeah, and we could take this a step further, because, I got into this very public fight with YouTube at the time. April 6th, we had the second largest YouTube live stream in the world, and that video was then taken down and my content started to be censored. And when I stood up and said, wait a second, what about my constitutional rights? What about, European Union Act 17 that says I can do this? And they said, no, that's a private company. You signed their agreement and you have to abide by their rules. First of all, that's the way people were communicating. But the real rub was later when I found out that the governments were actually instructing those companies to censor me and violate my rights. And they were using them as a proxy. And, while we're on the subject, we recently premiered our film, We Will Not Be Silenced, that talks about that. And Mike Benz was in the audience to watch it. And it was funny because during the movie, he was kind of laughing to himself. And I thought, wow, I don't know. I didn't know this was a comedy. But later he said, Brian, I knew what was happening behind the scenes that you were feeling at the tip of the spear. And I knew what the governments were trying to tell the YouTubes of the world. And you could even see that their policies changed because they were reacting in real time. And now it makes more sense to me what happened. Of course, understanding it doesn't make it right. And so, yeah, I'm glad you brought that up and the nuance of that. And you could go to so many layers on this, because it's funny, when the channel RT Russia Today used to be up and it was on YouTube, it would have a warning that said this is state-sponsored media. And yet when the BBC puts videos up, it doesn't put that same warning, which is obviously ridiculous. So Jim Rickards has just recorded a video that's not available to anyone in the public, and he's going to be talking about how this upcoming recession is going to be fast
It's going to be bloody. It's going to be nasty. But at the same time, he's going to show you how you can position yourself to profit from all of this chaos. Now, we've made this video only available to our viewers. Go to londonreal.tv/Jim. Watch that immediately. I can't say enough good things about Jim Rickards. He understands the global economic system better than any guest I've ever had on London Real. His predictions are almost uncannily true, and you can learn how to profit from his vision, from his expertise, and his understanding of economics. So go to londonreal.tv/Jim or click the link below. It's an excellent, excellent look on what's going to happen in the future and how you can position yourself to profit from that. Jim is one of the best in the business, one of my favorite guests on London Real, and he's very, very good at predicting the future and showing us all to profit from it. So click the link, and I hope you enjoy. Hey, do you want to profit from crypto? Then join my DeFi Academy. The Crypto DeFi Academy will help you create generational wealth. But don't take my word for it. Listen to my students.
When I first got into crypto, I remember thinking to myself, I need to learn more. Brian Rose, learning crypto, learning DeFi, gotta do it.
I am so grateful that I jumped in and did this. I had to break through some limiting beliefs that I can do this, that I can afford this, that I can be in this.
It challenges the things that are deeply rooted within us.
Joining DeFi Academy has been one of the best decisions I have made on my blockchain journey.
This course was a life changer, a game changer, a huge eye-opener, coming from knowing practically nothing at the speed of the learning over 4 weeks was just fantastic.
The information you provided in this class was invaluable.
I feel far more confident in my next steps.
You took complex concepts and made them easier to understand.
What's different than so many other ones is it just doesn't tell you what to do. It actually makes you do it.
This is for people who are serious about becoming traders. This is the way it should be done.
I realized from this learning experience again that it is not about what you learn, but about who you learn it from.
The energy was insane. I've never experienced such incredible energy on a live call. Brian Rose, you are a legend, my friend.
It's the only thing in the market where you can get all information and learn everything what you need to know.
Everything is so clear and so well done, and I am just forever grateful for this program.
It made me feel so much more confident about crypto than I did before.
I did not anticipate how passionate I was going to become about it.
It's also been like a big learning experience for me, not just in the crypto space, but just an overall balance of life.
What I've learned is, how to take ownership, of my life in a way that I really hadn't before.
Yeah, you can't put a price on that, really.
I would recommend it to anybody, top notch.
Excellence does not come cheap. So if you want excellence, you got to pay for it, but it's so worth it.
Pull the trigger. That's what this course is about.
You're not going to regret it, really. It's amazing.
Thank you, Brian and team.
So what are you waiting for? Crypto is happening now. Click the link below, submit your application, and let me mentor you on how to create generational wealth and build the decentralized financial infrastructure of the future.